right. Okay, so I want some more crowd reaction. So if you hear a country that is near and dear to your heart, or you identify with the following, can you make some noise? Afghanistan, Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Maldives, Nepal, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, South Asian Americans, and allies. Assalamu alaikum, namaste, and welcome. My name is Nina Shavon. I am just a Black Caribbean girl all the way from Memphis, Tennessee, and a proud ally to the South Asian community. I am so honored to welcome you all to this powerful event kicking off New York Tech Week. Today, we are rewriting the script. What script, you may ask? The traditional ideas centered around being who many expect you to be, whether it's family, non South Asian friends, society, and maybe even that little voice in your head of imposter syndrome. Thankfully, we have a powerful panel to guide us through that today. I must say, this experience would also not be possible without our sponsors, Laughing Lossie, which is a premier monthly stand-up comedy show that spotlights the best local South Asian comedians alongside special guest performers who bring fresh perspectives and humor to the stage. Also, we have Kea Snacks, leveraging Indian heritage on a beloved snack to mainstream America. She offers flavors like Bombay Spice, Black Salt, and Golden Ranch. And she's actually here, so we'll hear from her now.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you for having me. My name is Kea. I'm the founder and CEO of Kea Snacks. So all of this mess started because I married a white guy, and I know, he didn't like Indian food. I'm like, what am I going to do with you? I could kill you. I could divorce you. None of those were options. I had to find a way to introduce him to our culture, but in a softer way. So these chips were made for him and his palate, and to bring complex flavors on an easier vehicle. By the way, I'm also a pastry chef. I'm a Food Network champion. I've been in the food business for a very long time. You can find me on Instagram on Kea and Co or Kea Snacks, and then on our website it's called ksnacks.com. We ship nationwide. We're about to launch in New York with Fairway Market. Sorry, I cannot get these things right. Fresh Direct, Fairway Market, and Gourmet Garage. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much, Kea. We will also hear from our platinum sponsor for this evening's powerful conversation, Shivani Karingula. She will come and talk about her brand, which you can actually see on the stage behind us.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. So, when I was 16, I walked into a Daisy clothing boutique in Edison just to look around. The owner immediately took a look at me and said, Aapke liye to yaha kuch nahi hai. Translation, there's nothing for you here. Fast forward many years later, I left my career in healthcare and data science and booked a one-way ticket to Hyderabad, India, where I spent the past 2 years building Label Prem Anand, a brand for the skinny girls, big girls, and everyone in between. For the South Asian diaspora girl who is sick of the broken sizing, poor quality, outdated silhouettes, the chaos of ordering online, and worst of all, paying so much money just to wear the outfit once and let it rot in your closet forever, which I think a lot of us can relate to. So we fixed it. Every piece is custom dyed fabric, made to order, and embroidery done by hand. Sizing runs from extra, extra small to 6X with 70 plus color options, and an option to input your custom measurements built right into the product page. And every piece in the collection is designed to mix and match so you actually get your money's worth. We also do full custom designs where we bring rare Indian textiles and traditional crafts into modern silhouettes built just for you. I'm starting a new chapter since I finally got back to the States after 2 years, and I'm looking to meet more people in their building phase. So come find me tonight, and I want to hear what you're working on. And if you've ever been told that there's nothing here for you here, I built this for you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. And now it's time to introduce you to the moderators of tonight's event. And I'm so happy I get to call them both my friends, Neel and Ritika. Neel is an AI engineer for consulting firms. But let's take it a step back. He originally got his bachelor's in computer science and his master's in data analytics at GW. But things took a turn. Neel actually lost his job offer right before graduating and went into debt, $20,000 in debt. He ended up actually traveling to Thailand and 4 other countries in Asia. Some may say he was a bit crazy for taking that risk, but that experience taught him something important. It taught him how to, one, become a prompt engineer, and two, how to build community, social capital. He started the path to recovery, attended Forbes 30 Under 30, and as a South Asian, there is a weight of not meeting family expectations and being a failure or not meeting the traditional ideas of success. So for Neel, joining this community was important for him because it was given to him and now he wants to give it back. Ladies and gentlemen, Neel. Ritika. As a South Asian American trailblazer wearing many hats with purpose and intention, a student at Columbia University studying neuroscience and behavior, she brings the same analytical rigor to everything she does, from the classroom to the community. As a content creator, she uses her platform to connect, inspire, and amplify voices that deserve to be heard. Ritika currently competes in the Miss America system as Miss Greater Reading, where she champions the causes closest to her. Chief among them is Digital Access Now, the nonprofit she founded and leads as CEO, dedicated to ensuring that everyone, regardless of background or circumstances, has equal access to information in the digital age. In a world that too often asks people to shrink themselves to fit in, Ritika is building spaces, digital and physical, where no one has to. Now, if you all will help me in joining our wonderful moderators to the stage, they will introduce our powerful panel. Thank you.
So you must be wondering, what's SAFE? South Asian Forbes Event. Do you know how many South Asians are listers and attend the Forbes conference, but there's no SAFE community for us? This inspired me to find this today. Thank you for all our sponsors. And this is a personal photo of the meetups come to life at the Forbes conference. So if you're here today, you know who you are. I met my special friend, Nina. Let's get a round of applause for her. She has gone above and beyond to bring this event together today. And I'm so excited to be here with Neel, who I actually met at the Forbes 30 Under 30 conference. So let's get started. First, I want to get our panelist up here, Simi Shah. She is a trailblazer of her own, CEO of South Asian Trailblazers. She has met with Fortune 500 CEOs. She is a graduate from Harvard, a BA in English, and a Wharton MBA graduate. She also did Poem and Quants, top 100 MBA students, and that's how I found out about her when I saw her pop up in my backyard because I was located in Philadelphia, and she's been on my vision board for forever. So I'm so excited to have her here. Give it up for Simi Shah.
Our next panelist is actually in my field. He quit his Amazon job to make TikToks, and the internet had a lot of feelings about it. Varun Rana is a comedian, writer, and satirical content creator whose work unpacks the psychological absurdity of being first-gen Indian American in tech. He went viral for being honest about not having figured it out. And turns out, a lot of us, especially me, need someone to say that out loud. Please welcome Varun Rana.
A woman that traded her pharmacy white coat for a carry-on baggage and traveled all over the world. The founder and CEO of Dose of Travel Club. We're so honored to have her here with amazing 500,000 followers plus and help her scale. Have it up for Dr. Nabila Ismail.
And last but certainly not least, the person who I can have 5-hour calls at 3 a.m. in the morning with. Forbes 30 Under 30, COO of Petal, contributor to the award-winning book, The Charisma Myth, coach to founders, executives, and investors. Vivek Pandit has built a career on one simple but radical idea, that charisma is a skill and not a personality trait. Please welcome Vivek Pandit.
We are so honored to have these amazing people in front of us today. We're going to kick it off by the theme of rewriting the script. All of these are trailblazers and have taken different routes from the traditional. I can't believe it's been easy to go that way. So I want all the panelists to talk about how they rewrote their scripts and what was a pivotal moment that was screaming to them to divert into this pathway they're currently in. Vivek, you want to?
First of all, it is so amazing to see so many people here. Can we give all of these people that hosted this event a big round of applause, please? Thank you. Okay, so sorry, question.
How did you rewrite your script in your own way, right? Because all these job titles you have probably didn't exist when our parents were growing up. And them coming up with these technical terms like content creator was probably not digestible to them when we brought it up at the dinner table. So what was the pivotal moment where you're like, I have to make my own pathway? And how was that self-discovery process? Can you highlight a specific moment or maybe the journey and exemplify how you went about it?
Wow, I love starting so deep. Okay, so first of all, I have the greatest parents in the world. That is my number one. That is my number one privilege and my number one thing that I give all my credit to. So my parents always believed in me. My dad's a physician, mom's an electrical engineer by degree, ended up working with my dad. They started their own healthcare practice. So still very Indian and brown, in the medical field. And then all my aunts and uncles, everyone's a doctor. However, I had parents that very much let me follow my heart and never guilt tripped me, never whatever. So I have amazing parents. I guess that's very important to understand, that I was able to not feel like I was siloed into something. I grew up in Texas, the most conservative Catholic county of Texas. So you already know how Texas must be. I was in the most conservative Catholic part of it. We'll talk about this later, but how I try to assimilate into Texan culture. Then I went to Brown. And at Brown, I was exposed to a whole new level of ideas and thoughts of honestly speaking, I'd never heard of social justice growing up. DEI wasn't a concept. I was faith family football growing up. Then I went to Brown and it was give back, community first, social justice, DEI, that type of stuff. So I had a crazy identity crisis where it was should I work really hard? Should I be a good family person, make a lot of money and serve my family? Or is it about not caring about money, giving back, serving my community and fighting for equality and justice and things like that? So this identity crisis eventually led me to discovering the power of social impact entrepreneurship, conscious capitalism, whatever you want to call it. The idea of doing the right thing and making a lot of money while also impacting people. And that was an interesting middle ground where I'd found there's a not profit, a for profit, and for more than profit middle ground. And so that was my calling. It was very difficult to try to tell my parents, especially my grandparents. My parents are cool. My grandparents have been tough. They still don't know what the hell I do. But knowing that I always had the love and support to follow my dreams, and knowing that the way that I had been raised, but then the challenges I fought trying to assimilate into Texan culture, and then identifying my purpose through social impact entrepreneurship is ultimately what led to who I became. And again, I've had incredible support from my family. So
Okay,
that's my story.
perfect. Simi?
That's such a beautiful story.
Yeah,
Hi, hi everyone. I'm Simi. I'm the founder of South Asian Trailblazers. Thank you to Neel and Ritika and Nina for putting this together. Such a special event to see a sea of brown faces at the top of New York Tech Week. Who would have guessed? For for me, my story is interesting. I graduated from college in 2019. And like a good brown kid, my parents were like, there are 3 places for you to go to work. You're obviously not going to be a doctor. You're definitely not going to be an engineer. And so I ended up in finance. I started my career at a middle market private equity firm based in Boston. At about on day 1, I came home and I told my parents I was going to try and make it a year. I made it 8 months. And I happened to quit my job a week before the pandemic hit. And so every hiring conversation I was having went completely on hold. And so I was trying to figure out the last time I had felt inspired. And I realized that it was 2 core pieces. It was one, I'd always been in love with storytelling. I started writing in middle school. I thought I was going to be a journalist when I went to college, but put that dream aside. And also, anytime I was in community, particularly with the South Asian community. Like I'm sure many of you did, I was part of a college dance team. I participated in all the Diwali events, all the cultural showcases, etc. But in this new professional context of my life, I didn't really know how to sustain the connection that I had had to my culture my whole life. And so I was like, how do I do that while making it relevant to the chapter of life I'm in now? And that was the genesis of Trailblazers. It was really about talking to other people who looked like us and understanding how they got to where they were and turning that into a podcast. And over the last several years, I've been really blessed to turn that into a community as well as an agency. But I continued to do it on the side. I went full time. Actually, this week marks 1 year as a full-time founder. Very exciting. And yeah, I say that to say that I side hustled on this for a really long time, but I'm very grateful to be where I am today. And it's not for the faint of heart, but I hope a lot of you will do the same.
2 tough acts to follow. I'm Varun. I'm a comedian, content creator, storyteller, whatever job title you want to call it. As far as what point I decided to kind of start like rewriting the script, so to speak. So for background, my first job out of college was like a big tech job. It was at Amazon. This was back in 2018. So, um, you know, it was at a time where having a big tech job was seen as like this really cushy and relaxing kind of thing. I'm sure you've checked the news. It's definitely not like that anymore. But I was unfortunate to be in a team and a management scenario where it really wasn't like that from the get go. It was really testing my sanity. It made me feel unhappy. It made me feel just not valued as a person. My ideas weren't valued. And, I put up with it for a while, but it was during COVID when I was working from home. I moved back in with my folks and I was just waking up every day like very unhappy. And I started to feel like this wasn't even for my satisfaction anymore. It was for other people's satisfaction. And um, yeah, I just went crazy. And when you're going crazy and you're unhappy, I think you'll do anything to just get out of that situation. And so I had seen a couple of my colleagues also quitting and kind of taking time off. And I was like, I don't know what happens on the other side of this door, but I just need to not be here. So that was when I did my first time like quitting a job and taking a break. Um, I didn't tell my parents about it until after I made that decision, but I think I realized that was the first time in my life that I had kind of taken a break, like since I was 18, maybe, and kind of realized I'd spent the last 6 years. I was 24 at the time, so from like 18 to 24, just making decisions for other people, and I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do next, but I'm going to choose jobs. I'll spend my time doing things that serve me. Um, and so one of those things was creating content. And that was 5 years ago now. That slowly turned into what it is now. But even before getting into this full time, it was also just like, hey, maybe I'll go try tech sales. Maybe I'll go try a startup. Maybe I'll go like not do what I was doing before and just kind of be okay with what I don't know. And I think that's something a lot of us struggle with. But I think you have to start somewhere. And yeah, it all just started from kind of wanting more from my life, more of my own satisfaction and not for others. So yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'm Nabila. I am the founder of Dose of Travel Club. and a travel creator. So my story started off with having three options: doctor, lawyer, engineer. I feel like a lot of you guys can probably relate. I became a pharmacist, which was still disappointing. I still got the doctorate, but it's not a physician, it's not an MD. So I studied for 7 years to get a degree that I knew I did not want. And I graduated in 2019 and booked a one-way ticket to LA. I was like, okay, I'm gonna go get a job. I'm gonna be a pharmacist. And I knew I didn't want to do it from the very beginning. I don't know how I did those 7 years, but I went through it by traveling in my like free time. So from the age of 18, I took my first solo trip to Spain and became a nanny. And that kind of just changed my life. I met so many different people choosing different walks of life, people from different countries, just valuing their life and their careers in different ways. And oh, yes. Can you hear me now? Is that better? Okay. Thank you for turning that up. Okay. So I was an au pair in Spain, and that's when I started solo traveling. I spent those 7 years basically surviving pharmacy school by traveling. So by the time I had graduated, I had been to 50 countries. And when I graduated, I moved out to LA and took my first job, and I got licensed the day we heard about COVID. It's not really the best way to start off a career in pharmacy when you have no idea what the heck is going on. So I was out there by myself working this career that I absolutely hated when everyone else was making TikToks, working remotely, making banana bread, and I was working 7 days a week, nonstop, like 12-hour days. And then at that point, I was like, okay, everyone is kind of going through an adjustment, and I feel like this is like an opening for me. So I was lucky enough to get a job in health tech doing marketing. I was a content and engagement marketing manager. I still don't really know what that means, but I spent 2 years there, stayed with them until they went public, and that happened. And I realized that I was ready for my next thing. Quit my job, went on a 12-year sabbatical, which was like my dream, like forever. I was like, 1 year, I'm gonna go travel with like no deadline, no reason to come back. I visited, I don't know how many countries in that time. I started documenting online and built up a platform. I became a travel journalist. I was writing for Forbes, for photos, and all sorts of things. And life was great. And then that year came, and I was like, okay, what am I doing? Everyone's getting married, everyone's getting promotions, everyone's buying a house, and I'm just like dilly dallying around the world. And I basically then chose to start this travel company for South Asians because I was the only one doing it in my entire community. Everyone was, I was the talk of my community. What is she doing? She doesn't have a job. She's homeless. All of those things. And while documenting that journey, I had accumulated thousands of followers who were wanting to do the same thing and didn't really have anyone to do that with. So 4 years later, it's been 4 years of running Dose of Travel Club. We've taken about 5,000 people on trips, and maybe, I don't know, it's been 10,000 people coming to our events just in the last 6 months. So it's been insane. But we've created this safe like space for travelers, and my parents still don't understand what I do, and that's fine. But yeah, that's my story.
So yeah, first of all, Nabila, I'm actually a big fan of one-way tickets.
I can't hear you. Hold it closer.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, first of all, Nabila, I'm a huge fan of one-way tickets. I actually saw your channel like when I was in Thailand, actually after booking a one-way flight, and since then I've actually been going to your events. So really appreciate you helping me out those times. Yeah, but yeah, my next question's for everyone. I'm so just to preface this, we all know this, but I'm gonna say this truth. We're a judgmental community. As much as I love us, we're all looking out for ourselves. Closer.
Closer.
Oh, can you hear me now? Yeah, we're
Speak
all
up.
looking out for ourselves. So I'm curious as to like this is 2026, and especially with the advent of social media and that everyone's life, especially as creators, is public. I'm curious how you handle that.
Want me to start?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I get a lot of judgment. If you want to go check, just look at any of my videos online. This is something I learned pretty early on how to deal with it, just because my life, like that's all that matters. I think for me, going down a career that I absolutely hated, I realized that I was the one living it, And I was the one paying the student loans. I was the one going and showing up every day. And nobody really understood what I was going through, especially when I was going through like COVID and working through that time. Once you do something successfully once, you get data points and confidence, and that just helps you get over it. And that's basically what happened. I made my first pivot. I survived. It was okay. People talked. I got over it. I started making videos. It was cringe, but then I was getting the brand deals. I was doing all the things that I wanted to be doing. And then, yeah, that was it. I didn't really care. Now the judgment and the hate still comes, but honestly, it just helps like get better reach on my videos now. So thank you to my haters.
There's a quote I saw recently. I forgot who said it, but it was like, you'll never have haters that are more successful than you, and I think that's pretty powerful, because everyone that hates on me is definitely not as successful as me. I see the comments, I click their profile picture, it's like a mirror pic. I'm like, yeah, this guy's definitely broke. So that's reassuring. You got to like remind yourself like these people are always projecting their own things, but um yeah, no, this is still like an issue in our community for sure. I mean, like it took a while for me to be able to go back home to visit my parents and be around their friends and not feel weird about it. Um, I think since I've been doing this for 5 years now, they're like, "Oh, Varun, I love your videos." I'm like, "Where were you 5 years ago?" But so there's one part of it where you acknowledge that it just takes them time. This is not their universe at all. Like taking risks and doing creative stuff is like not our parents' universe. It takes time for them to warm up to it. Um, so that's from the parent side, and then there's our generation who seems to be equally judgmental. But I think you just got to surround yourself with good people. I think sometimes we equate like, okay, big group of Indian people, like I'll feel judged, whatever. But I've lived in New York long enough where there's like so many amazing South Asian people here. I'm sure they're all in this room, and it's like there there's good ones, and, but you gotta make an effort to surround yourself with good people who challenge you and accept you as you are. If that means like you have some friend group um, from college, just as an example, maybe you went to some big state school or whatever, like I did, and there's this big Indian group or whatever, and you're all buddies and stuff. And I mean, it's like if you think about it, all you really have in common is that you went to the same school and that you look alike. But like as you grow up, it starts to be like friendships become more about like what shared values we have. And if you have this kind of desire to start something on your own or do something different, I think you need new friends. I'm not saying get rid of the old ones. You should still keep them around, but like you need to be around people who celebrate you, who challenge you. And thankfully, we're in this amazing city where it's so easy to meet people. And there's so many events like this and others where I've met amazing Indian people. A lot of them are in this room today. And yeah, you have to allow yourself to like, you have to surround yourself with good people. That's all I'll say. Yeah.
I agree with that completely. I think our community has obviously struggled with the scarcity mindset, which is just our generational trauma. And I think it's incumbent upon our generation to break that. But something that I always try to remind myself and remind my friends in this space is, why are we fighting each other for crumbs when we could be fighting together for the whole damn pie? Like,
Hell yeah.
if our community banded together the way other communities like the Jewish community and other affinity groups have in the US, the rate at which we could rise together would be unprecedented. And so I just say that every time you feel competitive or jealous or envious or whatever it is with someone, like, we can go so much further, literally twice the distance when we're supporting each other and working together. And I have made it as far as I have because of people like this on this panel, because of people like you in this room. And I'm so grateful for that. On the haters, I mean, everything they said, I got some hate mail a couple weeks ago, and I sent a screenshot to my best friend thinking she'd like comfort me or say something nice. And she was like, OMG, you've made it. I'm like, so true. So that's how I choose to look at it.
I love that. That was a good ass answer. So it was interesting. There was a point in my life where I got a lot of love for the South Asian family and the Indian community for sure. And I led a lot of the organizations, and I was also a competitive dancer in college. We should talk about that.
Do the worm at the
But
end.
I wish there was more stage. You know, it was hurtful at one point to recognize that the success that I got oftentimes was met with like ridicule from my own community, like being in the startup like world. And there was a time my mom called me. She's like, "Why aren't the other Indian families inviting us to their parties anymore?" And that really kind of broke my heart. Like I was like, "Damn!" Like I don't know. There was this competitive nature in our communities that like it's not how I am, so it was like hard to receive that. But one of the things that that taught me, and another thing that I want to credit my mentor to, was the worst thing I've ever heard is the phrase to believe in yourself. I think that's something we tell each other all the time is like, you should believe in yourself. You should believe in yourself. Fuck that. You should not believe in yourself. You should go through the work to know yourself. You can only believe in something you don't know. Like you don't believe 2 + 2 is 4. You know that, right? And so one of the things that helped me, and ironically, it started with my own community, but has fostered to a much broader group of hate, I guess you could say, is understanding what the process means to go through of like, who am I really? I don't believe in my potential. I know my potential. I don't think this is my purpose. I know this is my purpose. There's this grounding that you get when you understand the direction you're setting your life in and how to create and author your own life. And one of the questions my dad asked me a couple years ago that I thought was frankly a ridiculous question, but when I thought about it for a little bit, I realized it was a really good question. He was like, "What are your values?" And for me, it was like, well, obviously, it's do the right thing, be a good person, don't lie, like Then you think deeper about it, and you're like, what are truly my values? Like, what is the legacy I want to leave? How do I want to impact people? How do I want to make people feel? Like, what is the message I want to leave? And when you go through those existential crises or those questions, you realize that your identity becomes grounded by a knowingness of who you are and what your values are and what you believe in and what you're fighting for. And when you feel unshakable by like that groundingness, then the amount of shit that you get from other people like doesn't rock you as much. And I think for me it was like I had a viral video that was like I gave a hot take and I got a lot of shit in the hot take. And it was like one of those things where I was like, you know what? It actually didn't bother me as much as I thought because I stand by what I said and I know why I said what I said and I speak with intention. I know my values. And when there was more pride in my identity, I think that helped me like separate from people's ignorance and like hate and actually pursue the dream that I want without feeling any guilt.
Thank you so much for those beautiful answers. I kind of want to piggyback off of what Simi said of bringing everyone together and not being competitive and lifting each other up. I think that's so important. And kind of the goal of this event today is that we all want to make one connection, a genuine connection, and uplift each other in the South Asian community. My next question is directed to the two females. As we come from South Asian families, we are spread to be an amazing wife, an amazing daughter, an amazing sibling and role model, especially I suffer from elder daughter syndrome. So, you have to be the role model and carry the back. You're also expected now to be a doctor, graduate from Ivy Leagues, and make a lot of money. How do you navigate the double standards in 2026? And what is one takeaway for the amazing tech woman in this week, in honor of Tech Week, that you would want to share?
Big question. I had the privilege of working as chief of staff to Indra Nooyi, the former CEO of PepsiCo, and she used to say something about this a lot, which was women can have it all, just not all at once, which used to make me really, really sad. But I actually just think that's true for everyone. Like, I think we are so blessed to live in a time. I look at my mom. My mom lost her mom when she was 3 years old. She was an incredible brain, wanted to be a doctor. Her eldest brother said, unfortunately, like, we can't support that as a career. You need to get married. Moved here to the States, not knowing a single person, raised 2 daughters, empowered us to get educated, to be financially independent, to live our lives as we please. And I just am like, I feel really grateful that I don't just get to be my ancestors' wildest dreams. I get to be my mom's wildest dreams. And so I say that to say that I look at all of this as a privilege, and I'm constantly thinking about how I can pay that privilege forward. And the only standard I'm trying to live up to is mine and my mom's.
Well said.
Love that. I feel like, yeah, I agree with everything you said, and I come from a very similar background. I became a pharmacist because I definitely know my mom wanted to go have that education and she never got that opportunity, which I feel like why it's also why my parents were very supportive of me traveling initially. They're not really happy that I keep doing it as a living. But that was really important to me and they also very like supported me so much in that sense. And I just see it as a privilege and that's exactly why I built the community that I have now. There's a travel club where it helps others find the same thing from like women's trips so they can find and live out their life the way that they want to as well. I think having like people in like numbers, like that means a lot. And that really shows like just having that magnitude of people who are doing the same thing really has helped my parents also understand and see that, you know, we don't have to have everything at once. We don't have to live the same way that they used to because that's all they've ever known, right? The whole marriage concept, they've like really laid off a lot more, knowing that we live a lot differently now and have so much more that we can do as women.
Can I add one thing? I just want to say in the context also of New York Tech Week, like truly shout out to all the women in this room. I feel like with the rise of AI, love the guys, love you guys so much, but I would love to see more women in these spaces. And I just say that to say that like the more that men can show up as allies to women, the further we can also go together again as a community. And to the women who keep showing up, keep doing it. Like there's people like me and Nabila and these guys on this panel who will show up for you guys too.
Thank you. I'm going to throw it back over to you, Neel.
Yeah, of course. This is actually directed at Varun and Nabila, and anyone else can chime in. So we recently talked about Japan, right? And obviously Japan, as you may know, has like a very similar but also very different work culture and just like cultural aspect to like compared to being in South Asia in the US. So I'm curious as to what did culture shock look like to you when you went to a different country, and how did being South Asian influence that culture shock?
Yeah, I went to Japan for my 30th birthday like 5 months ago as like a treat myself trip. Um, I actually did a bit about this recently, but yeah, Japan's really cool because you go to eat out, you go to wherever, and you can see the level of craftsmanship that's put into everything. Like, especially, I'll just use food as an example. Like you go to like a ramen restaurant, or you go to a sushi restaurant, or you even go to like a izakaya, and you just see like one guy back there who's clearly put in like years of effort, like honing this really creative craft. And he serves you his ramen bowl and bows down, and it's kind of like, thank you for letting me bless you with this meal. It's like pretty cool, and it's like very individualistic in that regard. um yeah, India, it's like, I don't know if you've ever been shopping for clothes in India, and they got like 5 people doing one person's job, and you've got like one guy who's like the head honcho, and he's like about to you know sell you clothes. It's one of those custom clothing places, right? And he's like, would you like some clothes? And you're like, yeah. And then all of a sudden he starts snapping and whistling at some other guy. And then some guy in like tattered clothing with a tape measure is like, and you're like, what the well, why can't you just do it? Like, it's like, we love telling people what to do, you know and I've worked for a couple Indian bosses now, and my parents warned me about this when I was going into the workforce. I remember like my mom was like, "Oh, good luck with that." I'm like, "What do you mean?" And now I get it. And then like the shopping, all of it like came together when I started working in tech. I was like, "Damn." When and my mom, I think one of her first jobs in America was like with an Indian boss too. And I don't want to make this all about Indian people, but like it's kind of a thing, Come on, it's kind of a thing where like when you're in a position of management or power, like you feel like they feel like they can control me. That's how I felt, like controlled. And like um I remember one of my other Indian friends, like his dad started his own medical practice and they hired an assistant, and apparently she cried after the first day. And I'm like, we all know how that went down. Okay, like, and he's like, yeah, I guess I had like a hard time assimilating to the culture. I'm like, yeah, no shit. I don't know, man. I think that's like one thing okay, that's like the con, I would say, is like there is this culture of like working your way up the rankings means like you can just be shitty to people, and that sucks. I really hope we unlearn that as people. Um, I don't know if we are, but one can hope. Um, but we're very hardworking, and I think um, that's something I try to take with me from my parents, at least. I know my dad was always like the type to like over prepare, let's get ahead in school and get ahead of the class. And, I think when I was like a teenager and early 20s, I would kind of resent that part of me where I was like, damn, I just got good at studying for what, I'm just good at fucking studying and grinding for what, Now I really appreciate that because especially in the creative field, there's a lot of dumb people. And I'm not one of those. I did all the math problems. I did all the studying. I can pull all-nighters. I'm good. I'm good. So work ethic, definitely good. How we show up as leaders, room for improvement. But yeah, Japan was good.
You were that cracked intern.
What?
You were that cracked intern.
I kind of was that cracked intern, man. Yeah.
Nabila?
I mean, yeah, I definitely echo that we are very hardworking people, and I learned that while traveling. Um, when I first took my first solo trip, I was genuinely surprised on how in Spain they take a siesta and a nap, and I was like, wait, that happens? That's real? That was like I didn't even get a lunch break when I was a pharmacist. So when I traveled, I was kind of radicalized in a way where I realized I was so type A and I literally lived to work. And that is like why I went to school. That was the only thing I did 24/7. I didn't really have, I guess it was also the nature of my work. But when I left that 1 year for 12 months, it actually was the hardest thing I've ever done. Like leaving was not that hard. Sitting with myself, knowing that I quit my job and had such a privilege to just travel, I feel like we don't do that. Like Eat, Pray, Love, that movie, I was like, okay, I want to be that. But that wasn't a privilege for a lot of South Asian women. And so when I did that, my whole world changed. I was like, I don't think I can come back and do things the same way. Well, that's why I didn't get a corporate job again. But I learned that you can still be successful, that you can accomplish a lot, have impact without sacrificing your whole entire life. And it really matters doing something with passion. So for me, I think I just really learned that you don't have to hate your job and hate and work all the time. Like there is a happy medium, and that's kind of the biggest thing. And now I can't even come back to the US because I'm like, I can't deal with this work culture. I want to go to Bali. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Based on your responses, you talk heavily about education, and all of you guys have done an amazing workload from master's to a doctorate in the education. How did you gain your entrepreneurial skills? As you probably don't learn that in a traditional PharmD degree or economics degree from Brown. So if you guys want to expand on how you built that, and maybe if it helped your time in New York of how you went about networking.
So in high school, I did the thing where they like sold chocolate bars, and it was like a charity event. And then so I bought all the chocolate bars and I sold them for double, and I made a bunch of money. And I was like, all right, cool. This is awesome. This is how you make money and serve people chocolate, and like people are happy. So starting in high school, I was like, all right, this like 9 to 5. I've never worked in corporate, and honestly, the advice I'd give people is like you should work in corporate for a little bit, save money, and then start your own thing. I didn't do that. I just started my own thing, and it's been one hell of a roller coaster through hell, but a lot great has come out of it. It was one of those things. I guess I was always wired to like just try to figure out how to. I love the experiment of can I convince somebody to give me money for something, and then are they happy with it? That's like a really basic exercise that I like to run when I was young, even middle school and high school. But you know what really changed my life was so I went to Brown, and then I got an internship at Detroit. My mom was so mad. She was yeah. She was like, why the hell are you going to Detroit? Like, I just spent 6 figures on your Brown education. You're going to Detroit. So I go to Detroit. I meet a guy named Dan Gilbert. He's the owner of the Cavs, Rocket Mortgage. He's done really cool things. He used public-private partnerships and basically like social impact entrepreneurship to revitalize the city of Detroit. So that's where I was like, this is really cool. Like, this is a field or a thing where I can take my business acumen, frankly, my EQ, my understanding of different perspectives and people's incentives and blind spots. And there was a lot of imposter syndrome when you walk into rooms of like a lot of like Fortune 500 executives, CEOs, billionaires, millionaires. But at the end of the day, everyone's human. You realize everyone has the same human blind spots or like reactions to conversations. And when I learned how to navigate those conversations, I realized that when you strip everything away, at the end of the day, everything comes back down to a human-to-human interaction. Like people writing treaties, people signing policy, people like making huge acquisition decisions. It's about that conversation that happened in the room. And what I learned to master was understanding how to handle conversations in rooms with very powerful or influential people. And I realized that there was a great power in these soft skills and these EQ and people understanding and what we call charisma and like in business. And like, I realized I wasn't the smartest. I'm not your traditional Indian. I took the ACT like 6 times before I got a score worthy of going to college. Like I took them subject tests like a dozen times. But one of the things that I realized was the power of human-to-human connection and interaction. And when I realized that you could combine that with using the private sector as a means of solving problems that I think we historically rely on the government for. So like you look at what Mark Cuban's doing with like healthcare, right? Or what I'm trying to do with like unemployment. Like these are things we've relied on the government sector to solve. But maybe if the private sector stepped up or there were public-private partnerships, we could figure out how to solve a lot of these problems we've historically given the responsibility to government. And so learning how to not just reinvent products or services, but business models, which was really interesting, is I can have the same product as you, but if I found a more unique way on how to make money than you, I'm going to win. So learning how to reinvent business models, leverage public-private partnerships, understand the power of like human connection and conversation, that's ultimately what led me to realize that all the things that I was learning when it came to like business and problem solving and revenue models and product roadmaps and KPIs, and that's where I could implement it to cause the biggest impact, I guess, or have the most influence in my life. And that's how my journey started.
Awesome.
So I want to follow up with Vivek because you said a really good point about like how you were an outsider to corporate, how you kind of like took a bird's eye view and like learned from every single aspect of the business, but where it didn't specialize in anything, right? So would you still give the advice of working corporate for a bit beforehand?
Okay, everyone thinks you should just follow your passion or follow your purpose. It takes time to discover what that is. Your 21-year-old self-graduating college has no idea what the hell he or she wants, I promise. Your first job is not something you need to love, and it is a very smart bet to save money and learn the discipline and things that come with doing something you don't love before taking a bet on yourself. I took a bet on myself right away. I have 0 regrets. Would I suggest most people should take that advice? Absolutely not. It is an incredible roller coaster ride. There's a difference between being a startup founder, an early employee, or a startup employee in general. And I think we've like given this, what's the word I'm looking for? Like where you like make something. We give a lot of like positive attention or sentiment to like startup founders, people succeeding when they're like 18 and like AI and
Romanticize.
romanticize,
Glorify.
glorify. Those are the words I was looking for. Yeah, all that's like don't like fall into that. The average startup founder starts their company at 44. Like I fell into the trap that like I had to start a company, screw corporate. I'm gonna exit and be a multimillionaire by the age of 30, and if I don't do it, I'm radically behind. Like I do not suggest that path on anyone. Frankly, I have no regrets. But I think the best thing to recognize is you don't need to do what you love right away. You need to go through the journey of understanding and learning what you actually love, and that takes time.
That was so well said. I have 2 Forbes 30 under 30 listers on the stage with me in honor of SAFE because it's South Asian Forbes event. How is the publicity been with you and the support in the South Asian community? Like, have more South Asians started to follow you, and what are the ripple effects?
I'm so fortunate to be a Forbes 30. I think something I try to think about though is like, what are the actual metrics I want to measure my life by? At the end of the day, a lot of these things are inherently vanity metrics. They don't move my work forward. They don't move my relationships forward. They don't move my health and my personal life forward. And so I'm so grateful, and it absolutely has meant so much and opened a lot of doors for me. But I just say that to say that just because you don't get whatever that accomplishment is, or that recognition, or that award, or whatever it is, actually take a step back. I think we live in a world that increasingly encourages you to measure your life by vanity metrics. You cannot take these metrics to the bank. And so I'm again, I'm super, super grateful. I've loved the Forbes community. I wouldn't have met you guys without it. But my biggest thing is think critically about what you want your life to look like and how you think about success.
Vivek, yeah.
I'll make it quick, I promise. So there's a world where you do not accomplish what you set out to accomplish, and that feels like shit. There's also a world where you accomplish what you set out to accomplish, and it still feels like shit. At the end of the day, like, this is why it goes back to trying to really understand what you want versus what you've conditioned yourself to think you want. Because a lot of the times, the things we want, like, I'm a Techstars founder, I'm an Ivy League graduate, I'm an award-winning author, I'm a TEDx speaker, I was part of On Deck Catalyst, I'm a Forbes 30 Under 30 founder, I'm a contributor to a global bestseller. I've got all the freaking accolades under the book by the age of like 25, 26, and I still felt empty inside. And that's when I realized, like, I was chasing a lot of these accolades because I thought the more accolades I got, the more of an ability it would give me to do what I really love, which is like speak. I love speaking, but like, I want to feel like I've earned people's respect to speak. And if I don't have a successful exit, or if I don't have this, or I don't have all these accolades, then why would people listen to me? And I realized, like, there was this really cool framework that I was taught was be, do, have versus have, do, be. So I want to have accolades so I can do the things I love, like public speak, so I can be a public speaker, versus flipping it and realizing I could be the person I want to be. I want to be an inspirational voice. I start that by getting on stage, by doing the thing, and eventually I'll have all the accolades that come with it. But I think understanding how to flip that and be the person you want to be, and not expect that the things that you earn or get then dictate your value or give you more opportunities was a really simple but eye-opening paradigm shift for me.
All right. Thank you so much for
No,
that
thank you
input.
so much. As like actually from the book Atomic Habits by James Clear. You sure I've read that? So anyway, I want to close this off with one more question. So I'm pretty sure all of you have heard the phrase "log kya kahenge." It's a Hindi phrase meaning "what will people think." So I'm curious to all four panelists, what did that phrase mean to you? And both fitting in with other South Asians, because I know you guys have talked about it a lot, but also in the American community, like fitting in, especially you, Vivek, like, and also growing up in upstate New York and Michigan and Georgia, fitting in with like white people and people of other races. What did that phrase mean to you? And how has it evolved?
Okay, I'll start. Well, for me, it was a phrase I learned about very early on. And growing up in upstate New York, I was definitely one of the minorities, but my entire family was there. So I actually ran the complete opposite way from the South Asian community, which is so funny now that I run an entirely South Asian travel and social club. So I actually ran the opposite way. And when I, not that long ago, went to Pakistan by myself, I kind of reclaimed my roots and established what it meant to be a Pakistani woman, what it meant to me, and how I showed up in the world. So people will always think about, like, will have something to say about you. But again, it kind of goes back to the same thing about the judgmental community and all of that, where um where you were saying how, like, it doesn't really matter anymore, like my haters are not more successful than me. So it's just something that people will always do, and you just kind of learn to tune it out once you get confident and in your own identity.
Yeah, I think it's for me personally, it's a phrase that hits home. I grew up in a pretty South Asian heavy community, and like I think earlier in life it would have similarly kind of, it was something that definitely lived in my head rent free and guided a lot of decisions that I made. Um, to a point where it almost sort of similarly made me want to run away from my roots. But honestly, creating internet content like helped me reclaim my roots. And some of my first content was just jokes about like being Indian and stuff. And I think that's like probably the number one most important thing to me now as a creator is just knowing that I made even a fraction of the Indian community proud. I think I wouldn't have gotten here without that initial just strong fan base of South Asians. So I kind of do care what they think sometimes, but
Don't we all?
but I yeah, seriously, like I think that's like if there's like one thing I do with all of this when it's all said and done, it's just make the Indian community proud. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I echo a lot of the sentiments of what that phrase meant to me growing up, but I'm like, it has never been cooler to be brown. Like my non-South Asian friends like love to come to our Diwali events. They're like, I can't wait to come to your wedding. And I'm like, it's cute you think you're invited. Like it's so freaking cool to be brown right now. We have so arrived. This community is not just having a moment, we have momentum. And so I feel really proud that I get to work in a space where I get to own that. I mean, I was just watching or reading this article the SF Chronicle put out where 1 in every 3 Y Combinator founders in 2024 was of Indian origin. 15% of the execs at the largest tech companies in the Bay are all of South Asian origin. 10% of all execs broadly. I mean, those are crazy numbers we're putting up. I think it's so cool to be brown. And regardless of what the administration is doing, like this community is here, it's here to stay. We're growing in momentum. And I think we should just be proud to own that. And I feel very, very blessed and lucky that in this lifetime I was born brown.
This is a cliche, but like when we all grow up, the number one thing we want to do is fit in until I learned the power of standing out. And I think it was quite the process, but there is nothing more proud in my identity than my culture, my religion, my faith. And I think it is so cool. Like it's so funny to me to like watch the West like steal all our shit, dude. Like I'm like, we did it first. Like, So I think like we're still relatively silent compared to some other forces, but damn, are we a force? I love what you said, moment versus momentum. That's really cool. I'm gonna use that.
I stole that from Kunal Merchant from Indo Warehouse.
Cool. I'm crediting you. So I think that's really awesome. I think like, I grew up, someone asked me when I was in high school, don't you wish you were white? I said, yes. It's like, damn, now I look back, I'm like, hell no. So I'm very proud to be part of this community. I think like power can come from arrogance. Power can also come from freedom. And I think the more representatives we have in the South Asia community that are breaking barriers, rewriting the script, like the more power and freedom we all feel. And I'm really, really excited about to see what the South Asian community will do in this country and in the world in the next, decade or two.
Yeah, we're very powerful. I'm going to take 10 questions from the audience. If anyone has questions that they would personally like to ask, I'm going to start with.
Hi. Okay, so I grew up in India. I didn't do my schooling here, none of that. But I have cousins who've gone to Ivy League schools. They grew up in the US who have had the similar trajectory to what you guys are dealing with, right? And I'm doing my best to understand what's so different and how can I help and how be a part of it. But I have a specific question, and this is probably rooted in compassion. If your haters were successful, would you change your path and listen to them? So then what does it matter?
Just the shit I'm talking about right here. All right. No, I mean like it makes you realize you can define success on your own terms. It's just nice when they're more broke than you. So anyway, that's all I got.
Amazing. I'll go next. First and foremost, you guys were incredible. Amazing questions. Absolutely love them. I'm keeping really close to the microphone right now. So my name is Raman. I'm an AI founder from London. And I want to say, especially to Varun and Nabila, your content is gone global. Like being European, I absolutely love your content. I think being from the UK, we feel so much FOMO that we're not in the US. So I feel really grateful that we're here right now. My question is completely selfish. I want to understand, how do you navigate cultural expectations around marriage, especially being incredibly ambitious? And I know, Nabila, you kind of
I looked right at her.
to that earlier.
Take the mic, girl.
I don't even know what to say to that. You ready?
Yeah, I think when you reinvent your life and start a new career for yourself as a South Asian, it definitely like shrinkens your dating pool a little bit because then the amount of like inbounds from your parents are like, oh, who the fuck is gonna want this, and then it's also like you meet other brown people and they're like, oh, you're a content creator. I'm like, yeah. They're like, for real though, like nothing else. I'm like, yeah, yeah, but that's fine. Then that's not my person, And I mean, yes, there's always mail from home on when I'll get married. I'm 30 now. I'm happily taken now, they're projecting their own view of like the script of life that they were given, and I don't know. You just got to move out, man. Don't be around them, and just there's a lot of advice that's like, don't forget to call your mom. I'm like, maybe you shouldn't. Like,
I mean, yeah, I would say the same thing. Part of being a traveler is not being there, so I get to leave whenever I want. Um, but as a girl, I think I have it even worse. And as a Muslim, I actually made a video about this, how we don't even have a pool. We have a puddle, especially once you reach over 30. So for me, I just actually just leave whenever they get on my case too much, because I don't, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? um, but yeah, also my career doesn't really make sense to a lot of people. So, yeah, I would agree, move out.
being understood is overrated.
Simi and Vivek. Any answer?
I think they covered it.
Perfect. Hi, my name is Nazifa. I'm a business reporting student at CUNY. I have a question because in the news space, everything is experienced digitally, and a lot of newsrooms now are struggling with digital fatigue, where people are craving spaces like these to be in person and present. I'm wondering, with each of your businesses, which are partially online, how important is it for the future of your business to tether your brand and your company to physical spaces as well?
I can go. Yeah, I've done this awesome content thing, a lot of comedy, and obviously that was how I got my start. But a couple years ago, I realized, I'd meet fans in the street who are like, "Hey, when are you doing a show?" I'm like, "Show for what? Like, show?" And that's when I realized I think this is just another way that I want to meet my fans. And so, um, yeah, definitely starting to pursue like more stand-up gigs and stuff. And the dream is to have my own tour of some kind, but I try not to think about like digital fatigue versus physical. I mean, that's obviously a great trend that's happening that we could talk about, but for me, it's just about giving my fans a great experience that they can't get online. So
I think about this a lot. I'm super bullish on IRL, and I think part of that is in the age of AI, especially as a podcaster, when it's going to become harder for us to tell if what we're looking at is real, we're going to crave in-person experiences where your eyes aren't being deceived. And I just think we're going to crave human in-person connection. Every single one of us has a live component to our work. And similarly for me, like we do live podcasts where we invite the audience to come and experience a taping in person. And those are by and away our most popular episodes, even when we put them online. And I literally think it's because even digitally, people are experiencing the energy in the room. So I think a lot of it is just finding the balance between the two and investing across both.
I want to say something real quick. Is you know the phrase "money makes the world go round." One of the coolest things I learned from my mentor was trust makes the world go round. It's not money. Money transfers when there's trust. Your greatest competitive advantage in the world of AI is human connection, because human connection fosters trust. Don't you ever forget the power of IRL and human-to-human face reaction or relationships, because again, that is your number one competitive advantage if you want to be successful today. So, I mean, I would say IRL experiences are damn near everything.
Okay, so I'm that brown mother who always says that you break it, you broke the toy, you did this, but you all made it here, and I'm very proud of you. You are all in that city where the global, before we get up and give the finance to us. Now it's up to in your hand, the high tech week New Yorker, they made it because of who? I don't know. But I hope in the bottom of the corner, we're not perfect parents. Somewhere we do mistake, a lot of mistake, but we mean well. We want to give you what we didn't have it. And I want to give all to you, each of you, a good luck. I hope you go and go for it.
Thank you,
Make it.
Auntie.
You know, I'm a very proud parent of Ritika Malik.
Aww.
We roasted her pretty hard, huh?
This is our last question from the guest.
Hi everyone. What I wanted to ask is if you could go back in time, what is something you would do less of to get to where you are now?
Something we do less of.
Wait, can you say it again?
Yeah, sure. I was gonna. Do you want me to choose mine? Okay. What is something you would do less of to get to where you are now? Whether it may be being a bit apologetic when it comes to your personality, so forth.
All right, I got one. I used to think that you had to have a perfect product before you made a sale, or that you should make a plan before you take action. I've learned sell first, build second, or take the action. Those that are successful are the ones that have an idea. The distance between having an idea and taking action is very limited. Take the action and then pause, zoom out, reflect, and learn. Too many of us get stuck in analysis paralysis. I always try to have the perfect product roadmap, the perfect idea, the perfect plan. I didn't start a community. What's the point of my community? What's the value proposition? Just start. It's crazy how simple life can be if you just take action and then learn and reflect. Now, don't do the same thing over and over. You got to learn, but don't make a perfect plan and try to stick to it. Act first.
Awesome. We have one more question from our amazing platinum sponsor.
Hi. So I think what's really interesting with personal brands in 2026 is that we can really form it around our multifaceted personalities, which I see a lot of you on stage doing. And I'm currently navigating that for myself as I'm a fashion designer and founder. I started a community called Brown Girl Boss Babe, which is for South Asian female founders. And I'm also doing brand consulting for DTC founders. So since I know a lot of you have a lot of accolades under your belt, I just want to understand your personal work style. Did you kind of work on each of those goals little by little every day, or did you go all in on one thing for a sprint? Or I'm just trying to figure that out for myself, so I would love some input.
I have no accolades just to start. But no, I mean, like what she said about having all of it but not all at once, I think resonates for me too, because in my content journey as well, like once you start doing the thing, there's infinite ways to go about it. You could do TikTok, you could do long form, whatever. And I was trying to do everything all the time and be good at everything. And I do think there is a world where I can deliver on every platform, every stage really well. But I knew that if I wanted to do it the right way, the sustainable way, and just like build the right brand, I had to do one thing at a time. Almost everyone will tell you, like, focus on one niche, one specific type of customer, one specific type of audience member, one platform. So I have taken the approach of like one thing at a time, and I think that's the way to go.
Hi guys, my name is Fatima and I'm also a pharmacist. So I noticed one of the panel speaker had a similar background as me. So I would like to learn more about you. How did you attain your journey and the career transition? I wanted to ask you how was being a pharmacist and where you are today? Like what inspired that decision and like how did your family support you throughout this process? Maybe it's like a typical question, but it's very important because like I come from the typical like background as well.
Yeah, totally. I think most people don't actually know what a pharmacist does. Like we know what we do. Who here knows what a pharmacist does? And please don't say, yeah.
Any pharmacist? We got one, we got two. Okay.
Oh, 2 out of a lot of people. Once I realized that pharmacists actually do a lot more than people knew, learning to how to put that into a phrase of like transferable skills, you run like a whole business. Like we actually don't really do a lot of the clinical things, depending on the setting that you're in. Once I learned that, I was able to apply that skill to so many different roles, and my career journey makes a lot of sense to me. Like, now that I run a travel company, I'm so operation minded, and that's all I did as a pharmacist. So being able to take those skills and translate that to literally tell other people, like, I moved from pharmacist to health tech, and it was a company full of like people who've never worked in health at all, like don't know anything about health. So I was like kind of a diversity slash like token hire to help with that because I was a pharmacist. So I was able to bring those skills. So I found like you took my unfair advantage, which we have a lot of, and you'll find pharmacists pivoting into so many different roles. As for how my family feels about that journey, I mean, they weren't happy when I left my stable job in COVID to go to a tech startup that was just starting off. But I got that job. It was a great job. They were really happy. And then I left that again. And then they just started to build trust with me. And at the end, that's all that matters. And now I'm doing okay. Like, I don't need to go back and get a job yet. So I'm okay. And I think they're okay with that as long as you can take care of yourself. So
She's doing more than okay, also.
Yeah, so I just want to give a big round of applause to our panelists real quick. Amazing job. Thank you to my co-hosts Ritika and Nina for making this happen. But I especially want to thank all of you here because 2 weeks ago we had no one. Like we had nothing. And like I literally I remember calling Vivek. I was like crashing out. I was like, how can I pull this off? But you made it happen by signing up and showing here. And there's so many other Tech Weeks events, but you chose this one. So my heartfelt thank you goes out to all of you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
So before we go, we have one more thing in store. This is for someone special whose favorite color is purple and also knows a thing or two about Thailand.
Happy birthday
to
to
you.
you.
Happy
birthday
to you.
Happy birthday to
Nabila.
Happy birthday to you.
it has my face on it.
Perfect. There will be cake afterwards. I want to say thank you to all our panelists for literally clearing their schedules during Tech Week, one of the busiest times in New York, and being here. Can we give a one big round of applause for all of them to be here today? Here you go. Especially on their birthday. And thank you so much for all the South Asian people coming together during Tech Week and making this happen. I know you guys are also having very busy schedules. I hope you stay connected in our WhatsApp community and we truly build trust within the South Asian community, uplift each other, support each other's brands. It goes a long way. And I think a lot of unity and less competition is needed. I'm going to open it up to networking. I can't wait to meet all of you guys. Thank you again. Yeah. Let's stand up.
Yeah, good idea. Nice, can you get a picture? Oh,